Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Phil. I am the Down Under Maker. How is everybody this morning? Hopefully I can get some thumbs up or some sort of confirmation in chat that audio is working for me, please. 6 waiting, but only 5 likes. Thanks, Penguin, for keeping an eye on that for me. I'm going to take a guess that it's Jeff who didn't like. Jeff never likes. Hi, Greenie. Hi, Raj. Hi, Luke. Jeff, do I have audio? No audio. Are you sure there's no audio? Loud and clear. Audio is working. Oh, it's just Penguin being a douche. Nothing unusual. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and I'm just going to get rid of my test stream going on in front of me so I can see what's going on. Okay, so it's been 2 weeks since, well, 3 weeks since we've had a stream. And, oh, morning, Rod. It's been a crazy bunch of weeks. I've been doing lots of work with one of the schools I work with. I've been doing work experience visits. So basically all the kids are out at potential employers, learning about the career that they think they want. And sometimes it's just the career their parents think they want. And they're trying it out. And visiting those kids is all sorts of fun and games. Fortunately, this year there was no significant dramas, but sometimes you get there and the employer says, can we cut this short? And sometimes you get there and the kid's like, can we cut this short? And yeah, it's fun. Visiting everywhere from house design companies through to heavy engineering and diesel mechanics. So it was good. But that's meant that I haven't had an awful lot of time to tidy up and get projects completed. So what are we doing today? Today we've got a bunch of stuff that's come in the mail to help finish off some of the stuff on the Delta Flyer. We've got a couple of other bits and pieces towards where we're going for some extra content outside of the normal space. Morning, Tom. We've got, yeah, lots of stuff going on. And if we run out of cool stuff to do, then I've also got the parts partially printed for swapping the Ender 5 over to a Mercury 1 because, yeah, I did some printing with it the other day and it was annoying me. So it's time to make that jump on the Ender. And I also have my coffee. I understand that Penguin has Coke and Tim Tams. What's everybody else drinking this morning or this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are? Let's start with the mailbag. Ooh, let's go to this one. And you'll also notice I've got a t-shirt on under my t-shirt. It's a crazy, what is it, 8 degrees outside, which is freezing for Perth. Ah, it's the HDMI adapter. So this is for the back of the touchscreen on the Delta Flyer, so we're going to need that in a little while. Now this, I don't think is stream related. Well, not directly anyway. Greenbeard's drinking Earl Grey. Earl Grey. Earl Grey has coriander in it. Ah. This is the, yes, it is what I thought. It's the cover for my headphones band. It started to peel. This is a Corsair HS60 headset. And yeah, the vinyl cover off the foam started to peel. So new cover for that. I'll worry about doing that later off stream. Ooh. This is the HDMI cable for the Delta Flyer. Because the one I've been using is way too long. And this one is also one of those armored cables with the, can you hear this? The especially armor braided cable. So those two are there and ready. Oh, morning, Brad. And now, the next a couple of bits and pieces are for the other potential content for the channel. Now this one got bashed up in transit and I'm a bit annoyed about that. It got all dinged up. These are special stainless steel tweezers for holding electronic components while you're soldering them. And why are they so special? Because they're designed to cope with being heated over and over to a couple of 100 degrees without losing their hardness. And they're super, super, super fine at the tip. So, ow, yeah, it does stabby stab. So the idea is, now, that brings me to this one. These are practice solder kits. Have I got a zoomy hands version of this? I do. These are practice soldering kits for micro soldering. Careful, I'll poke my eye out quite possibly. Already exceeded your daily coffee limit, Rod. That's not a good idea. So this is a PCB designed specifically to help you learn to micro solder. Check that out. Turn it around so it's the right way. So this is the same size as Arduino controllers and STM32s. So I can practice soldering those. And this is the same size as a lot of the MOSFETs we use for our heating and fan control. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's millimeter gauge, a millimeter gauge for you guys. So, and hopefully once I've got a bit of practice in, we'll be able to actually go even finer than this. But that's where I want to go for some side content in between printer builds and stuff, is teaching people a little bit more about electronics and how to fix our MCU boards and similar. You have a K-Hub inbound, going to compare it with the Wave Share expansion hat. I'm betting they perform equally, but the K-Hub is 33% less expensive. It's a lot less expensive. The actual really good Wave Share is about $90 US last time I saw it. Just reading through chat to catch up. I don't. Oh, you need a link for the K-Hub Penguin, or you need a link for the soldering kit. Greenbeard's talking about decaf coffee, which isn't real coffee. Sorry, it's just not. Caffeine is life. This is the bringer of joy. Have I lost that little rubbery thing already? I have. But these come in a metal tin for a good reason. It's so that you don't damage the ends of the prongs, or at least not easily. Oh, and the other thing that came in, do you guys remember I was talking about my my Pad 5 V2 not having an OTG port because it fell off? This is a pack of them. And that is the one of the replacement ports. Now each of those pins is 0.5 millimeter wide, and there's a 0.5 millimeter separation. So that's going to be fun trying to solder that on, and I've just got it on the end of these tweezers so I don't lose them. Now this This is something I found on printables. It's a holder for tweezers and that sort of stuff, and the kind of soldering tips that the soldering iron I'm about to grab to open uses. So this tip came separately, and one of the kids destroyed the little tube it came in. So rather than leave it rolling around, I put it in this container already. But the way this works, there's a ground, there's a heating, and there's a temperature sensor pin. Do this again. So the main body is ground, heating, and temperature sensing. So that means the whole thing is a complete unit, and the heat up times on these are just crazy. You'll see it in a few minutes when I turn the unit on. Now, I won't get into too much of it right now, but when you're dealing with these higher end soldering stations, and even with your cheaper stuff, let's go back to me for a minute. When you're dealing with your soldering iron gear, one of the big mistakes a lot of people make is they forget to tin the end of their tip after their session. So when you finish soldering, you're actually leaving, if you've cleaned your tip at the end of your session, you're actually doing the tip a disservice. And if you don't put a little bit of solder on the end, the special coating on the end of the soldering iron, which then holds the solder while you're doing your soldering, it gets oxidized and destroyed by the atmosphere. Oh, there's the little rubber bung. So it's always really important that after you finish your soldering, to actually tin the tip of your soldering iron again to protect the coating, and that will mean that your soldering tips last a lot longer. The other thing is, never overheat your tips. Because if you overheat your tip, it's bad. Just ask your lady. So let's have a look in here. Hands plus me. This is an Aphen, also known as Sugon A9. Now, I didn't go for the new super duper version because I don't need it, and it was about 30% more expensive. And you need to use flux. Good point, Raj. I wasn't going to mention the F word because we all know that David, when he watches my streams, considers that word a swear word. So I wasn't going to stir the pot. I'm just going to pull everything out of the box. Get rid of the box because it's big. So what did we have in here? Presumably a manual. A please contact us, don't complain to AliExpress card. A warranty card, which is probably worth no more than the card itself. Dear friend, thank you for purchasing. And looks like these guys even include a guide on looking after your soldering tip. So that's good. Actually, this has got a really good diagram. Let's go back to here. So that's the coating I'm talking about. And then it's saying, so the dark area is the coating, and then the tin layer is the solder afterwards. So yeah, it's not just me who extols the virtues of retinning your soldering tip. These guys do it too. It even actually talks about what I've just been saying about oxidization and stuff. So yeah, it's not just me harping on about it. It seems like. Let's go back to the wider view. This is the soldering station. I'm assuming this is, yeah, it's a peel. Ready, 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 ready. Peeled. I'm just going to stick that there. Now, the reason I picked this station, got a wet sponge area. It's got a genuinely copper brush for cleaning your tips. And this is a soldering iron tip holder thingy. Now, it's pretty common in these prosumer level soldering irons to actually have a separate cable that you can plug in. Nick, hello! There we go. Now, this, I think, is the handle for... This is a 245 handle. So there's these soldering stations can handle 3 or 4 different sizes of handle. And these sizes of handle relate to the sizes of the tips that they hold. So, is this labeled? I can't see in this light. Let's turn on the ring light. Now, you're probably going to struggle to make it out, but I think it says on there 245. So this connects in there. And then all those little terminals that I pointed out connect to it. And it plugs in there. Now, where's the power cord? There. Now, because I'm in Australia, a lot of these units don't get supplied with Australian power cords. They get supplied with either European or US or UK. So I pre-arranged mine. There we go. Now, I've already seen somebody else do an unboxing video on this, so I know my way around it a little bit. It's not the size of the tip, it's how you use it. Of course. Can't all have a big tip like me. You just keep telling yourself that, Nick. So this is designed to do this, which holds the cable up and out of the way while you're soldering, so you're less likely to stab it or melt it or stuff. So let's power this on. Like I said, I need to do some rearranging and some tidying up on my bench here, but let's go for the close-up again. And power on. It does beepage. Okay, so it's in Celsius mode and it's got the speaker turned on. That's all we need to worry about for now. Now, let's quickly put a few drops on the sponge. And let's see what happens. Now, the way these are designed, there's actually it detects whether there's a connection between ground here and ground in the soldering iron. So if you do this, ooh, factory smoke. Cool. That's already at 380 degrees C. So that is how fast it heats up. And it's basically idling at that 380 degrees C. These units, I think, go to 450. And yeah, so now, what is this for? You can stuff this in the hole and pull, and it will then pull the tip off for you. So then you can do swapping of your tips while it's all still hot. Put it back, and it drops back. Out. In. So that's another great feature of these. If you leave your soldering tip hot for extended periods of time, it means that you're going to start oxidizing the tip faster. So it remembering to turn itself off just by putting it back in the station saves some of the lifespan on your soldering tips. These soldering tips are relatively cheap. They're about $5 or $6 each for the AliExpress ones. Or if you get the genuine, which is in this series, it's a company called JVC, their tips can run 80 or 90 Australian dollars each, which is pretty expensive. No over-the-shoulder method for me. Okay, so while I was off screen, I was just finishing my coffee, which is a travesty. I'm going to need more in a little while. You have the FX951. Yeah, you run it at 400. This has 3 pre-programmed presets, but you can change these to whatever you want. Maybe it's this. I was reading the manual. I think now we press and hold. No, I'll have to work it out, but or maybe it's press both to set it. No, that's press and hold it. I don't know. There's some way you can actually pre-program the channels to hold their temperature. Maybe press and hold the up and down at the same time. I'll read the manual. It's not something I usually do, but I will read the manual. Now, this is the 245 handle that we've currently got in, and the tip I got is something called a KS. It's a small chisel. And oh, they sent me all Ks. You get a random assortment of tips. That's a K chisel blade tip. And that from memory is about 4 millimeters. That's the 5 millimeter version. So this one's relatively speaking huge. And it does mean I'm going to have to order some more tips. And even in here, they're all Ks of varying sizes. It was supposed to be a selection. Now, not the end of the world, but just so you can compare. 245 versus, I think, 220 size. So it's smaller, and then there's an even smaller size, which is a 115, and they are probably the tips I'm going to end up using, but I'm going to give these a try because this package was incredibly cheap. It worked out at about $160 Australian delivered, which is a lot cheaper than they normally are because it was on a super run out deal. They've just swapped over to a new model which has a fancy graphic display, and you can set like heat up curves and stuff on it. I didn't need all that stuff. If I was doing lots and lots of big CPU style soldering, maybe, but heating curves aren't necessary for my kind of use case. So yeah, that's the A-fin A9 soldering station. I'm just going to unplug that and put it out of the way because it's a bit big. It also means I need to do some AliExpress ordering for the stream to order the tips I actually want, because what I want is some bent conical tips, which is do I have my El Cheapo soldering tips around? I can't see them to hand. So that's a conical tip. You can also get ones that are bent conical, so the end is actually curved over like a banana. And that means you got a bit more ease of access and you can see them easier. It would be nice to choose my tip for the job at hand. Yeah, it really is nice in being able to hot swap them, so you don't even have to wait for them to fully cool down before you can swap them over. that makes it life a lot easier, Brad. So you go, this tip is giving me the shits. You can swap it out and go from there. Rod uses a Hako clone, uses T12 tips. T12 is basically the same idea, but a lot lower wattage is my understanding. Well, the soldering iron I'm using is essentially a similar unit to the Radio Shacks, but the really good Radio Shack. And it's 20 odd years old, probably possibly 30, almost 30 years old. I got it when I was in my late teens, early 20s. So yeah, let's move back now to some more traditional content. And bring the Delta Fly up onto here. Now, I haven't done any work on the Delta Flyer since we talked last. I just haven't had the time. Sort out these wires. I've just unplugged it, so make sure that we don't end up spiking that DZ01 board. The old soldering iron has an on-off switch. Brad, at least it's one up on the AliExpress specials where it's the plugging it in, or if your outlet has a switch on that's the power switch. Morning, Gergwin. Now, while we're futzing around and I'm finding old hard drives from somewhere, go on to there. The big thing about the stream, well, my channel at least, is we cracked 300 subscribers. So thank you all, guys. Thank you to everybody who watches outside of stream and watches it as a VOD. Yeah, we cracked 300. When I checked last night, we're at 303 subscribers. So we're on our way to the 500. Please bring your friends and all that sort of stuff. Now, let's just quickly unplug this and this. So we are going to get rid of the really hugely long, crazy HDMI cord, and we're going to replace it with that new armored one. And I'm just unplugging the fan. That goes out there, and unplug that HDMI cable. That HDMI cable needs to go there so I can put it away later. Let's get rid of the Delta Flyer for a second. And let's first of all make sure I bought the right kind of, the right kind of HDMI adapter. The problem I had with the other HDMI adapter, plugging it in, it was that way around. Didn't work. So it was in front of the screen. So HDMI adapter in, and I have a hot air station on the way, Brad, but it's been sitting in customs now for a week. No reason why, just has. What am I doing here? But it's the wrong way around. Now, with this cable being armored, you have to be a little bit careful with it because they're quite stiff. So you don't want, as the actress said to the bishop, so it's quite stiff, so you do have to be careful that you don't end up tearing the ports off the board. It's all as long as it doesn't trip the breaker. So you're saying as long as you don't connect the earth to actually trigger the safety, you're good? All right, so I'm just having a quick look here, make sure everything is ready to do. turn this around so it's a bit more stream friendly. So we need to plug in the HDMI that way. We need to put the USB-C back through. Very carefully slide that around and plug this back in. There you go, much better view. Now, let's plug the power supply back in and we'll test it. That camera is good. There you go, you can see yourselves. Okay. That's powering up. Oh, there we go. We have text. This is a whole stream of tips. Nothing but the tip. Jex, good morning. It's been a while. Now, I don't know if you guys have been watching what's going on with the index. Bontech released some slightly controversial information about 6, maybe 8 hours ago. The Core 1 index pre-orders are going to be shipped before the dev kit version. They didn't explain why, it just is. And we're up. Oh, Helix Screen. Let's set this up a little bit better. Let's go to Sidecam. Straighten you guys up a bit. And install. Am I sure I want to install? Install. Now, Helix Screen. That's the next part of the content we were going to talk about anyway. When we did our Helix Screen install on this, it was buggy AF. There was no sugarcoating it. It just was. After the stream, I lodged a ticket on GitHub with all the issues that we suffered. Some of them he'd already been working on, it seems, while we were streaming, and probably about 3/4 of the way through what we've been streaming, he'd actually uploaded a patch, but we weren't to know that. Addressing some of it, and the rest of it was fixed within like 48 hours of the stream. All the networking stuff seems to have been addressed. All of the strange crashing seems to have been addressed. So I'm going to give this whole thing another go. I was sort of contemplating going back to clip the screen, but if the dev is actually actively working on solving some of these problems, then I'm going to stick with it. The other thing I still need to do in here is wrap up all these cables in the cable management sheath thingy. So, loading. You guys have a better view of this than I do. I'm actually having to look at this on OBS to be able to see what's going on. Now, shameless plug for the merch store. Yeah, Dan Undermaker on Fourth Wall. Just search Dan Undermaker Fourth Wall. T-shirts, hats, all sorts of stuff. A couple of weeks ago, I did release a whole bunch of summer hats, keeping your ears and nose from getting sunburnt in the US and UK. Verifying the update. If you're new here, join the Discord. I don't think I see any newbies, but link for the Discord's in the chat, and it's also in the description. So. Hit the RTO mandate of 10 days a month. Oh, you're being sarcastic. I was like, you're forced to take more time off? And that's going to hurt your hobbies? Here we go. Helix Screen is up. And we're in. Let's take a quick tour to find things fast. Next. And we're in. Okay, so now I was briefly chatting with Alex about the fact that we would I was going to give Helix Screen another go, and he said that people at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival were asking all about the, what am I thinking? The screensaver on this. And he said to have a look, and I haven't had a chance to actually see. Screensaver. Test screensaver, let's see if it works. Oh, it's working now. No, this was actually all bombed out when we were playing with it. So there is a screensaver that now works. Let's have a look. Flying toasters. So it does look like we can now use the screensavers, and I'm going to try Starfield and see what that is. That's just flying dots by the looks of it. Not very exciting. You like pipes, Rod? I'm kind of liking it too. Yeah, pipes. I probably should mention Alex is also known as Projects in Dad's Garage. Like and subscribe. Penguin Makers, who's in chat, he's also a regular streamer. Like and subscribe him. And RJ Repo Man is very conspicuous by his absence. Like and subscribe for him too. And Digital Dragon, who was in chat earlier, he's possibly gone back to doing actual real work. Like and subscribe to him. I think he mostly streams via Twitch, but he condescends to stream with us on YouTube sometimes. There we go. So yeah, screensaver is working. Sleep while printing. I don't think so. I don't think we want it to sleep while we're printing. I don't want to have to double tap if there's something going wrong. So a lot of these settings when we were playing with it last time just weren't working. Yes, Founders Edition Dev Kit Gogan. Real work. All lies. Now, Digital Dragon is in the US, and he's just in the process of, he has set up a shop front where he does repairs and sells supplies for 3D printing. So let me promote him to administrator, moderator. Luke, please feel free to spam your link, shop link, etc., and your channel link. Good morning, Pat. Patrick. Yeah. Time zone is Hong Kong. That's close enough. Format 24 hours. Animations are on. So I think we've got this all running again. Now, that's not actually a Delta Fly picture. That's one of the sort of vaguely looks similar Deltas that's in the preset library. Oh, and this was something that was an issue last time. We couldn't drag the widgets around. So now we can actually move widgets around the screen. None of this was working previously, and you can make them bigger. Add a widget. Shutdown and reboot. Networking, firmware restart. Fan speeds. So all of this stuff wasn't working last time, but we can now do lots of cool stuff. Oh, the console. Maybe it's still a work in progress. We can add all these buttons now. Let's turn the lights on. There we go. So that console button probably was working. So press and holding. Done. Oh, that's to disable the Wi-Fi. I'm not going to do that. Add a widget. There we go. Digital clock. And let's make that nice and big. Can we? Drag it around the screen. Doesn't appear we can make it any bigger than that. But done. So yeah, that's working. Turn the lights off and on. So it looks like you over and above what we had last time, things are actually starting to fall into place. So that's good to know. Now, one thing I might do is, can I get rid of the tooltip? There we go. Clean the screen up a bit. Done. So yeah, Helix Screen is an awful lot better than it was last time we were playing with it. So all we need to do now is I need to get used to it and play with it a bit more, but it's still lacking a few things, like you still can't do chamber temperatures as far as I know. I double checked quickly last night and it still can't do chamber temperatures yet. What's this? Ah, no notifications. There is still a few shortfalls on more advanced printers, but presumably the dev will add that as he gets time, effort, and inclination. But yeah, that's Helix Screen, and it appears to be operational a lot more ready to use than it was a couple of weeks ago. So let's shut this down. No, I'm going to do it the naughty way. No, wrong one. I'm going to unplug the power and I'm going to shove the printer out of the way for a bit. Let's go to that one. Now, during the week, this came. This requires a security check to make sure that you're not an actor from a basically, you have to sign a form and prove that you're not from Iran or any of those kind of countries. This is a Maxim IC test pack. Basically, they give, if you can order a whole bunch of ICs from these guys as a pack like this, and they send you a sample pack. So, buck converters. No idea what's under that, what it says under there. Oh, let me have a look. Does it say here? Oh, buck boost chips. So they're more fun. Another row of buck boost chips. These are LDOs, which are basically power controllers. Analog to digital converters, digital to analog converters, audio amplifiers, and op amps. Now, that spec there has 4 pins on it, guys. I want to be able to get to the level where I can solder those 4 pins. That's my goal. Hi, Mike. How are you? And then we've got comms chips. RS485, which Brad will know all about because that's largely used in industrial control for things like air conditioning. Serial control chips. CAN bus chips. No idea what a BTR switch is, and 2 Wi-Fi controllers. I think the big one has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and is 2.4 and 5G compliant. Now, these supervisor chips are designed so that if they lose power, so if they lose a heartbeat signal from a controller, they can actually automatically reboot the controller. The temp sensors are way higher spec than we normally use on the sort of MCUs we use. There's a Max 6680 and a 31875. So these things have much higher resolution than we normally would use. The next one is an opto isolator of some kind. And the rest of these chips are real-time clocks. And from what I can tell, these are protection diode packages. And they can provide VREF. What VREF is a voltage reference. And that's designed to allow you to calibrate against. So yeah, unfortunately the box got a little bit crunched in shipping, but you can actually, if you meet all the requirements, I ordered this because I'm a teacher and I want to show my students all these tiny packages. And okay, I know where that was going to go, and I know what you're going to say. These tiny IC packages so that they can see what's used in industry, and also because I want to be able to play with a couple of those chips as well myself. So where are we at? We're basically an hour into the stream and we've done all the unboxing and I've shown you all the cool stuff. I've already told you guys about the fact that I need to solder the OTG port onto my pad 5 when I've got a few minutes, but that's going to need the hot air station, which is still in shipping. It shipped on the 27th of March. And what is it now? The 1st of May here? Yeah. So it's been in shipping well over a month, and it's been sitting in a warehouse waiting for customs clearance about 20 kilometers from here. So what, 15 miles or so? And customs haven't even looked at it. So I'm getting more than a little bit over it. Oh, and at some stage, my kids have come in here and been playing with stuff, and I'm one of these missing. I need to work out which one and reprint it. Also need to get rid of all the heat stress marks off the sides of these parts because they look a bit icky. Now, let's shorten this so you can see what I'm doing down here. You have FISIC parts sitting in customs too. Oh, these parts are all self-separated from the plate. Nice. So, as I understand it, we've got some heat sets to install in these. So we're going to do a little bit of heat setting. I feel like Mini Maker has a little bit of OCD, so she might have picked up the part and chucked it in one of the rubbish bins. Or It may have ended up under this printer. There it is. Because she was sitting up here playing with my multimeter because she loves to touch the thingies together and make it go beep. Here it is. Biddy, hello. It's an hour in, man. Where you been? We have been unboxing many things from AliExpress. So that's currently off. How can I do this so I won't burn the cables and I won't pull any USB cameras off? That goes there, all the way around there. And then you guys can see a bit better too. That's not on yet. I could do with a new multimeter too, Mike. I've been looking at a couple of pretty decent ones. There's a brand called Finersi out of China, which seems to be okay, but I'm looking for some more reviews on it before I spend my money. The other thing I want to get is a big fat digital microscope that's got a bit more depth to it. So my current digital microscope is this. And there's not much reach here. I can take the little plastic cover off, which gives me a bit more, but I'm not going to be able to very easily do micro soldering under this. Whereas if I get one of the bigger ones with a Barlow lens on it, it's going to mean I've got more like this much gap, about 150 mil. That's getting warm now, in case you hadn't guessed. So that's going to be much easier to solder under. So that's where I'm hoping to get to, but I need to do some checking. Fred's laughing at me burning myself. We put off tomorrow what you can do next week. Yep. 3D scanner recommendations. The only person I know with one that I've actually talked to is, I won't name them, was the Creality one. They quite liked it, but I don't have any personal use of it. I mean, any 3D scanning I do is normally with my iPhone. It's not going to be particularly accurate, of course. Now, somebody just sent me a message. Tom, if you're in the channel, yes, I can do that for you at some stage. So, LTX, hello. Oh, that seems to be what their opinion of it was too, LTX, that they got the software right. But I'm guessing what they did was they've reskinned somebody else's software and then put their badges all over it. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but in the very top left-hand corner of my screen, of your screen, should I say, it's got a subscriber count and it says 17. I have way more than 17 subscribers, so I'm guessing that the token it's using is actually broken and it's connected to the wrong account. Mike says he shouldn't. It was an accident and I apologized. So for those who weren't on that stream, I'm a moderator on a few people's YouTube streams, and I put my phone down and it was on the couch. It was on the couch, and one of the dogs decided to come and stand on it, and it just happened to be lucky enough to press and hold against Mike, which then pops up the menu for moderation, and it timed him out for like 86,000 seconds or something, which is about 2 weeks. So I had to quickly undo that. So Mike, I definitely do apologize again and again and again and again. Oh, Brad, we need pictures. We need pictures. For those of you who can't see what's going on in chat, Howie DeWitt, aka Brad, has just got new panels from LTX Designs, and apparently they are amazing. Got the dog, got banned by a dog. Oh, hi, Tulsa. So, what I need to do is I need to bring up the Mercury 1 destruction manual, and I need to find out what we need to put the heat sets into. Build instructions. Okay, so it's been a while. Let's do it here. Screen 3. There we go. How to do all the printing. You guys have all seen that a million times. Heat sets. Okay, so we do need to follow the whole thing. So the first parts we need are these. That's these. Yeah, that's these plates. So let's go back to here. Or should we go to here? Side cam's probably going to make it easier for you guys to see. You can see all my clutter. Look, much clutter. And we need a whole bunch of heat sets. Now, I'm always get asked whenever I have this out on my desk. Morning, Jeff. I always get asked what this is. This is the S model of the, I can't even remember which kind of heat set press it is. It's the good one. Iconic Fab. And the drawers are a third-party remix. And the drawer is good. The tray insert sucks. It's got square bottoms in it, and that means it's really hard to get the inserts out. So I do need to reprint the insert, this bit, the white bit, but it's one of those things where you know you need to, but you never quite get back to it. Oh, that's good job I double checked. That blue plate is not what I wanted. These are the bits I wanted. So there's that one and that one. So let's chat. I'm probably going to burn myself a bunch of times, which is going to be fun for you guys. Carbon structural panels with aerogel. How did my glider project go? Gliders are still a work in progress. I've still yet to find one that actually flies. It seems like they're either expecting brute force to make it work, or they just don't understand aerodynamics at all, which wouldn't surprise me. Aerodynamics is a complex subject, but not one of them has even met paper plane standards at this point. Now, for those of you who've done heat sets, there's that one little spark of joy you get. And you know, anybody who's done heat sets will know. The way the knurls are done, the little spiky bits on the edge of a heat set are done. Just make them out. They contra-rotate. So they point in two different directions. So that, imagine having two screws when one's backwards on top, stacked on top of the other. That satisfaction you get where the heat set actually rotates as it goes in because the hole's been designed properly. That's awesome. Alex found a good printed glider. I need to try that one. I haven't got there yet. And there's another one I've seen on printables. Let's bring that up if I can find it. No, I don't have. I did have Prusa Slicer open with the printables open for it. Haha, here it is. This has me intrigued. So this uses tissue paper for the wing skin and the tailplane skin. But look how they do it. They actually spread the tissue paper out on the build plate with magnets and they print directly onto the tissue paper. So I reckon with some PETG and a little bit of testing, that should actually be a really, really good way to do it. From an actual mechanical point of view, that to me screams very, very awesome. Oh, that's the one you were talking about. Oh, well. I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't had a full chance to have a look at the one Alex linked. So if that's the same one, then I am on the right track. Just double checking I've got the right. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I've noticed is you can no longer download from MakerWorld unless you're logged in, which is kind of sucky. I was cruising around MakerWorld to see what gliders were available on there and went to download and it says you must be logged in to download, and I'm like, no, screw that. So where are we at? That one. We've got those two plates done as per the manual. Scrolling down to the next bit. Do not touch the hot iron or the insert. It's hot. Now they tell me. That one. And that one. And which way is it going? So it does go in from the outside, okay. Or does it? Or does it? Am I looking at the wrong part? I am. Okay. So that's those two parts we've just been doing. So yeah, what we might do is have a play with that either off stream or maybe next stream, printing onto the tissue paper with some giggles and see what happens. I've got some sitting, yeah, I've got some sitting in my wife's. My wife is one of those people who has, she doesn't quite have a room set up for doing gift wrapping, but she has a lot of gift wrapping stuff all in this neat section in a cupboard. So I'm sure she's going to have rolls and rolls of tissue paper I can ninja. and I'll be able to go from there. Now, the other big news event this week has been that Voron's Trident R2 is imminent for release. Steve has been teasing that some of the Steve builds, that is, subscribe, like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. He's been in charge of the project, and he's been teasing parts, and he's already released a few parts specific for Index to allow people who are hungry for their Index dev kits to arrive something to do while they wait. The basic changes are that the bed's been moved to allow for insert below the chamfer, so that needs to go in a little bit deeper. There we go. I wondered why these heat sets hadn't quite felt like they were pushed all the way in. When you're doing these heat set inserts, if you're careful, you can actually feel when they bottom out. I'm excited about that one. The 300R2 with Index is probably all the printer that you need. You're going to need 2 printers, Greenie. You always need an N+1. What happens if you break parts on the Trident? You're going to need another printer to print them on. Don't forget the N+1 rule. So that's those parts. Is that really all the heat sets that it needs? Okay. Now, oversized dowels will crack and ruin our bearings. Now I have a crap load of these dowel pins. Just need to remember where I put them. I also have all the bearings. Let's check all the bearings. Now, like I said at the beginning of the stream, this is basically easing back into streaming because we've had a couple of weeks off. That's not them. And I've been dealing with kids and all the hassles that they bring with them, both my own and at school. In times 7. N+10 is better. You can only afford N-1. We can only, all of us can only afford that, but doesn't mean that's how we're going to play it. I'm just going through this instruction manual. I do like their diagram of how the carriage works. Da-de-da-de-da. So through the whole method. I'm doing Index on Trident. Prusa got me unreasonably angry. $2,400 for the printer and Index with a 220Y. I can spend less and get much more. Prusa may have sold a lot of Snapmakers, but if they're going for a Snapmaker, they wouldn't have ever bought a Prusa in the first place. Some people aren't seeing the value proposition. Some people are deciding that the value proposition isn't for them. All are valid. It's not the end of the world. But the U1 is one of those printers which may or may not last in terms of part supply. Will they revise it and then dump the old version? All that sort of stuff. Whereas Prusa, we know, is one of those companies where they're going to support this thing for forever. So that was my main reason for deciding to go with it. Now that it's all done and dusted and there's nothing anybody can do about it, I'm going to level with you guys. I originally ordered the dev kit version, but I was watching what was going on in the community, and I had seen a few leaks, which I wasn't going to dob anybody in, because I don't want them to ever lose their chance of doing betas with Bondtech again. But there wasn't enough progress from what I was seeing for me to want to sit around and hang around for a decent solution with DevKit. Steve and HeartK have done amazing jobs in the meantime, but there's still a few niggly little things that aren't quite there, whereas the Prusa solution is just going to work. You're going to be able to take it out of the box, follow a manual, install it, and it's just going to work. There's not going to be dicking about. It will work. So it is what it is. And if you're time poor, and if you just want something that works, and if you don't need something huge, then it's going to work for a lot of people. And in terms of 220Y, I think they actually lost less Y travel than you're thinking. And as for pricing, some of what's costing you guys is the political situation, because I can pick up the latest Core 1 for about 1,600 Australian, which is 1,000 US, and then another 1,000 US for the Prusa version of Index. Isn't anywhere near as bad as the $2,500 or $2,600 I just saw you post. So some of it is maybe subject to change with the politics. The other thing to remember is you're getting an entire package when you're buying the Prusa version. Whereas if you're buying the dev kit, you've then got to go out and buy your extrusions and all your bearings and all the extra crap. So yeah, it's a different thing that you're buying, and you can't take the Prusa pricing as representative of what the end of the day pricing will be either. Shipping's the cost. So you need to wait for one of the free shipping. You need to wait for the free shipping stuff. Yeah, wait for one of the sales where they have free shipping. You've just missed a free shipping window. Over Easter, they had about 6 or 8 days where you could order everything free shipping. And some of it was on discount at the same time. The other thing you can do is you can actually, if you've got Prusa meters, you can trade that in for discount gift cards. So effectively a discount. So I'm not a Prusa shill. Everybody knows that when I was putting together the Core 1, I wasn't exactly enamored with some of the stuff that was going on, and I had a hell of a time with it for months before I finally worked out that the factory hadn't installed the filament sensor quite right. And Raj has had all sorts of hassle with his one of his Prusas when he got the Y linear rails weren't even screwed in, so they're far from perfect. The other thing is, in the US, you guys are kind of a little bit spoiled with your free shipping because of the way the US is done, and yeah, the rest of the world doesn't have free shipping for the most part. Amazon has kind of created a culture where you expect free shipping, and it's not how it works for the majority of people. Yeah, Raj paid £930 for his Index, including shipping. Did you get the Founders Edition, Raj? Or did you just get in on the new retail? The L is a different printer again. So the L has a lot more to it than the small version. I can see Brad's blood pressure is going up. So let's move along. So I think we're done with heat sets for now, and I can always come back and do more in a bit if we need to. That one. Oh, that's the other headlight. This is how bad it is. I've forgotten which of my plugs do what. Let's get this out of the way before I burn myself a second time. Oh, here's the other thing I've got going on. As another part of my electronics adventure, I have acquired myself, I don't even know where it came from. It's an Anycubic PCB bed. Now, especially when you're soldering things like MCU boards, they have giant areas inside the circuit board specifically designed to soak up heat. This is a Creality board. In order to stop these things from melting down, they have actual whole layers inside the circuit board designed to suck up heat and transfer it around the board. To try and compensate for that fact, it's pretty common practice for people doing electronics to actually have a preheater where I'm going to actually have to put some sort of insulating, electrically insulating layer on this, probably some Kapton. You actually put the board onto the heater to actually soak some heat into the board to get the whole board warm, and then that allows you to solder things much more easily because the board is already hot. Now, this is one of my donor boards. It's an old Creality 4.2.2, I think. Yeah, 4.2.2. And occasionally terminals get burnt out on these things. So this is the STM chip on this one is knackered. It got blown up. So I've been stealing the terminal blocks off it. So yeah, that this is a PCB heater, so I can warm up the board, get the board generally warm, so it's not going to suck up so much heat, and then this will allow me to solder bigger boards with big heat sinking planes inside them to make them easier to solder. So one of the projects we might do in a couple of weeks is actually print something out to work with this. I'm probably going to actually. You wish you had fancy soldering gear. This is by no means fancy. It's a 3D printer bed. I was actually thinking I've got a couple of Raspberry Pi 02s. I was going to put clipper on it and then set the bed up as the hot end, and we can just warm it up to like 30 or 40 degrees, and that'll be safe for me to touch, but also warm enough to actually take the cool out of the board and make it a much easier thing to solder. So put that back in the spares bin. So yeah, what was I going to do next? I was about to do something. I've got myself sidetracked. I went over there for something. I'd put the soldering iron away. The heatset press. Coming back to here. Let's grease some rails. I can't remember what I was going to do, but we may as well grease the rails ready for this. Now, I bought these rails because they were on special and I had a big AliExpress credit. And they match the specs. Whether they're any good or not, couldn't tell you. I should probably use something designed for cutting, shouldn't I? They do come nicely wrapped. Two and number 3. Now for this, I'm going to need my grease gun that's up there. That's easy enough. I do remember where some of my crap is. Yeah, so in a couple of weeks we may, if we're still waiting for index, start building a mount for that heat bed, and then we can be working on lots of different stuff at the same time. Hey Greenie, what do you reckon the chances are of you guys rejoining the EU, at least partially? Because I've been seeing political stuff saying that you're trying to get a 500 watt iron. That Sugon is good for 240 watts, just FYI. So the bases are good for 240 watts. So even if you downrate it and get like the big handle for it, you can put big fat chisels on it. Steve, hello. So where we're at, Steve, you've missed everything. No, not quite. We did some unboxing and talked about electronics for a little while, and my hopes that we can do a little bit of electronics content as well as the normal 3D buildings fair. We've done some heat set pressing, and now we're about to grease some rails, and hopefully I'm not going to lose the little ball bearings everywhere. And hello to anybody who watches this as a VOD. We've had a whole bunch of new subscribers of late, so I haven't seen any new people actually in chat. So presumably they're planning on watching me on VOD. Some of them may be just hanging out and waiting for the index content. Now, I know it's pretty common these days, but these actually do come with the ball bearing guide, so you can slide the carriage off easy. So that can go in there. What I need next is the grease gun. Available from bike stores and hardware stores and AliExpress, etc. Most of you have seen this a million times, so I'm just going to do this quickly once. Slide the carriage off onto its little plastic safety carrier. Now I have some rags that I've been using. These are old tea towels that my wife doesn't like, so she said go nuts, have as many of them as you like. Just taking off the factory oil. They actually feel really nice, and the grind on them is really even. Can you try to lose some ball bearings? That would be fun. No, I'm going to try not to. So very carefully remove the plastic insert. Now you don't need a huge amount of grease. It's one thing you don't need. Let's go for a close-up so you guys can see a little better. You can see my shaky hands better this way. I definitely need more coffee. And I'm going to very carefully put the plastic guide back on and run it all the way through 3 times, because that should be enough to turn over the bearings. I don't remember where I saw this trick. I'm going to run it through a 4th time, but running it through turns all the bearings over, and then you can put a little bit of grease on any spots that look like they didn't pick any up. Then put the guide back in. And I probably should have put some gloves on for this because I'm going to have terribly icky fingers now, but oh, I'm doing this off screen. Just sliding off the plastic onto the rail, and that feels nice. And there's a decent preload on this. So for a preload, for those of you who don't know what a preload is, it's basically the tension between the bearings and the carriage and the rail. And a preload means that there's a certain amount of slop is already removed by simply having the bearings tight against the rail and the carriage. There's more to it than that, but I'm not going to labor it. If you want to have a look at more details about it, come and have a look at the this Mercury 1 instruction guide. It's got it all covered very nicely in the explanations here. Now, they say to thoroughly degrease the carriages. It's not usually necessary on the good quality ones. Now, this carriage does appear to have its own grease ports. You can see in the end there's a third hole, so you could actually inject grease that way with a syringe. I don't like doing it that way because you're never quite sure, and it's a huge amount of grease you end up losing inside the carriage. I'm just going to put those stoppers on and slot this back into the foam so I don't get grease everywhere. And we'll do the next one. But as you can see, it doesn't have to be complicated. David, you missed all of our chat about soldering. You have to come back and watch later. Ahmed3D is another YouTube creator. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Okay, David, you're now a mod, so you can spam your YouTube link if you want to. These ones do have the holes all the way through, so yeah, it's one of those things where the cheaper the rail, the less likely it is that they'll have it. But I'm on the close up again. And again, running the bearing protector through a couple of times. Now this has got quite a bit of grease on it now, so just simply running this through is probably going to be enough to carry the grease all the way through the... Yeah, don't need to put any extra grease on that one. Oh, we nearly lost a ball. Oh, I didn't wipe the rail. Nebula build starts around the... David, I picked up a whole heap of new subs from the Index Discord. So, well, the Bondtech Discord Index channel. So, shouting you out there might get you a few more subs. Jeff, don't use the F word. David doesn't like it. For anybody who's new and doesn't know the joke, don't worry about it. We just tease David because he's a soldering Neanderthal. So again, I'm just putting these back into the foamy wrap to make sure that I don't end up with grease everywhere. It's not anything more than that. David, it really would probably be a good idea if you get a few spare minutes to have a look at the beginning of my stream. I unboxed my new soldering station. It's a really nice piece of kit and it might change your thoughts on soldering. I know you don't like it, but having that sort of soldering station might make life a little easier for you. They are a little bit spendy than the $10 stuff that you're probably using, which makes your own life difficult. Invalid invites to Discord. The problem is, Steve, that the Discord invite links roll over to prevent people from being dicks with them, and sometimes they roll over and you don't realize. So I will update the link to Discord in the channel description, and if you can click on it later, that would be amazing. So rail cleaned. Let's do some grease. Try and do it in the middle of screen this time. And we have a heathen in the house. Give me a moment. Heathen is a largely Twitch creator, Free Heathen Workshop. He designs lots of stuff on stream using the controversial Tinkercad. And he is a masterclass in design on Tinkercad. So if you're looking for a means of getting your kids into doing CAD and they really don't want to be, get them to watch his videos because he's damn good at it. And it shows them what it's capable of. And yeah, I've been, if I have homework to set for a class and I actually don't have anything to give them, I usually just assign a video for them to watch. And because most of his content is relatively G-rated, that works. Now, I accidentally knocked a couple of balls out there, but I was very careful and noted which side they came from. And because they were very heavily greased already, did I wipe this rail? Yes, I did. So Heathen, link your Twitch channel. I've just made you a mod, you can link it. So I'm just wiping my hands off screen, get rid of all the grease so I'm not spreading it everywhere. Let's go back to that one. Bit of a wider shot. What did I do with the last piece of foam? Let's put the safety thingies in. It's not in the rubbish. I'm just going to wrap it up in a little bit of kitchen towel. But there's a difference, David, between working and looking good. Now let's put the cap on the grease gun. And put that up out of the way so the kids can't play with it. And clean the bench top. Where's my pet house spider? We've got what are technically black widows living in the garage, the West Australian redbacks, but they don't tend to come into the main part of the house. They prefer it to be a bit wild and woolly where all the mosquitoes are. Don't even have any daddy long legs in here. They don't like it in here because it gets very hot and stinky from the ABS. Yeah. Even always looks good, even if he doesn't say so himself. So where are we at time-wise? It is 4:40 a.m. my time. I think, guys, rather than stretch this out and do lots and lots of me padding for time to drag this out to 2 hours, we're going to call it here. Rather than give you stretched out content, let's give you good content, is my thoughts on things. So over the next couple of weeks, we've got Index coming. Could ship any moment. It might ship today. It might ship tomorrow. It might ship next week. The Vikings over in Sweden are taunting us and teasing us with maybe shipping and maybe not. Deathmatch with a huntsman. For those of you who don't know what a huntsman spider is, it's big and it's about the size of my hand. So they are nice large spiders. Let's go back to, oh, you've got me sidetracked now, Brad. So the Index is coming. Quite when it'll ship, nobody knows except the Vikings, and the Vikings teasing us and not being very forthcoming in terms of actual dates. They have controversially said that the Prusa Founders Editions will be shipped before the dev kit versions, which is put up an image. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute for you, Jeff. So Index will be coming, and that will be 1, 2, maybe even 3 streams, depending on the situation and how long it takes. I've been told it takes roughly the same as an MMU3 conversion, so I'll quickly check how long it took David to do that. My Index isn't coming because it's being sent to Massachusetts. Is that what happened to my Prusa t-shirt, David? Yeah, the Index is coming, so we're going to do that. We're going to do some electronics stuff. We're going to be building that preheater that I've kind of got mapped out in my head, but I need to turn into CAD and then print out. And we've got this Mercury conversion that's going to be not necessarily a get it done in one go process. It's going to be more like if we've got a gap in content, we'll come back to the Mercury 1 conversion and do it that way as a fill-in. So for those of you who don't know, I teach high school, and one of the things you do as a high school teacher is you always have emergency content in case shit goes wrong. And it does quite often in the classroom. I can get parachuted into a lesson, and you might go, oh, there's all the lesson instructions are on the desk, and you get there and there's nothing. So you have to make it up on the fly. So rather than do a completely make it up on the fly, I like to have a little bit of content pre-prepared for each type of thing I'm doing. And that's what this Mercury one is going to be. It's going to be the background content. Eastman Spider. Just bringing up the picture for Jeff. There we go. That's a nice one. And are you ready, guys? If you don't like spiders, look away now. See, I told you it's about as big as your hand. Oh, David, I'm just teasing you. It will be a nice to have. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm not stressed. It's you guys hooking me up. That'll be awesome. So yeah, this is a huntsman spider. So they're big. We don't have any in this house. I've told a couple of my neighbors of seeing them recently, but we don't have any. We have had lots of slithery things over the last few weeks because they're starting to find their places to hide for winter. Did I see the paint shaker build from you? No, I'll have to have a look. Are they aggressive? They're not really aggressive, but if you irritate them, they will jump at you. That's the big thing. See if I can find a video. Now, this isn't a very big one. Oh, this is an old video. It's about 20 years old. Oh, 10 years old. Come on, get to it. You want to see the jump? I mean, if you're provoking a huntsman spider this much, just leave it the heck alone. The scale that each of those holes in that grill is about 12 mil, half an inch. And there we go, jumped at him. So yeah, here we go, it's instant replay, it's gonna jump, So yeah. Thanks to Notapig2Gether, whatever that is, for letting us look at that video. Hopefully not getting his copyright strikes. You want to see a spider snake? I don't know what species you're talking about, so I don't know. Don't they eat the cockroaches, which are pretty big too? Cockroach probably as big as my thumb. It's not uncommon. They tend to live outside more. They certainly don't like to come into the house here, possibly because the dogs get them. The other thing is with us having beagles, so they're hunting dogs, and then if anything wildlife related comes into the garden that they can chase, they will chase it and hunt it and dispatch it. So do they live in their house? So back to what I was trying to get through. Yeah, we're going to do some electronics. We're going to be doing the build of the preheater. We did a quick look at Helix Screen and the screensavers now that that's all been fixed up and it seems to be working. So we've covered all that off as Alex requested. We've greased the rails. We've done the heat sets ready for the Mercury 1 next steps. I am still waiting for the 2 stepper motors for the Mercury 1. So we'll, hopefully they'll be in. And the other things that are stuck in customs are a huge Harry Potter Lego train set. And, well, Lego, it's the knockoff Lego. And also my hot air station. So hopefully they will appear. They've been sitting in a warehouse waiting for customs to inspect them for a week, about 15 miles from here. So yeah, things are coming. So let's finish this up. I have been Phil. I have been the Down Under Maker. It's time for me to hop on out of here. Bye, guys.